I was amazed by her. I'm going to try to think of a nice word. Out to lunchedness.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
You got pep in your step today.
I was entertained.
Yes, last night, really.
I felt full and complete entertainment. It was an experience I have not known.
Yes, I kind of know what you mean, actually. Certainly this season so far.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the bar is extremely low, but I leaped well over the bar.
Yeah.
Well, like a full Olympic leap over the bar.
At no point did I have to tell you to put your phone away or to stay awake.
I was riveted.
Riveted.
I was entertained.
Let's recap.
Dun, da, da, da.
So episode 6 kicks off with Kendall's arrival. Of course, this is where episode 5 left off with that cliffhanger. And everyone's speculating as to why she's there. And there is some sloppy editing here. For example, we see Mari saying, "Is she here to spark things back up?" And Demi replies to her, but from a different daybed. Yeah. Also, they're not friends, but anyway.
It's all the same.
So it's established from all the chitter chatter around the beach that they were together for 1.5 to 2 years. They were living together and were engaged. So, of course, everyone is discussing it like crazy, and this is milked beyond belief. So Kendall and Joe go off to a daybed together, and he asks her if she's okay. And she says, "I'm okay. I'm not great. I'm not awful." And she says, "I feel like you're okay. Are you okay?" And he says, "Yeah." And she says, "I'm surprised you're this okay."
See, it's the classic who's more okay conversation.
Yes.
Everyone's had that before.
Yep. He says that when he got there, he was all cool. He was going to have fun. And then after a few hours, he was ready to leave. And then it hit him. That's where they fell in love. But he ultimately decided to stay. Meanwhile, over on the daybed from where Joe came, the ladies comfort Serena. And she breaks down in Abigail's arms.
Wait, Serena?
Yeah, Serena, his girl. Are you kidding?
Oh, okay. Sorry, start that again. I forgot the plot line. Got it. I got it.
We're not starting over. We got it.
I forgot the Serena. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Serena, Joe, Kendall,
Yes.
Kendall, Joe, bad for Serena. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Good job.
Yeah, no, I got it.
So
I'm with you.
back on the conversation between Joe and Kendall. I can't believe you. Serena's been your pick.
No, I know. I was getting distracted. To be honest, I'm distracted by Kendall, but you know Kendall's kind of my homegirl.
Yeah, Kendall's been a long-time Bachelor Nation crush of yours.
Yeah.
And she's finally on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's taking over Serena's thunder in more ways than one.
I've sort of forgot. I literally just forgot about Serena. It's embarrassing. I apologize, Serena. We had a thing, but things changed.
So Kendall, in her conversation with Joe, is telling him how difficult it is for her to not have him be a part of her life. She says that he was a special part of her life. She wants him in it in some capacity. And she says something that stood out to me here is, "What's difficult for me is the reason we broke up wasn't because we didn't love each other. It was because of logistics." Which we totally talked about last week.
We talked about that, yeah.
And we also talk about it on the podcast, with relationship questions.
Yep, it's a big question.
Yeah, and logistics.
Big issue.
It'd be stupid to pretend that they don't exist in relationships.
It's one of the pillars of relationships ending.
Yes, it truly is.
Or having trouble.
Yeah, how lucky can you be to find your perfect soulmate match who happens to live within a 20-minute drive of where you are?
Extremely lucky.
Yes. And I can totally see how that would haunt someone. It makes a breakup harder when it's not because one of you was just a giant asshole.
It does make it so hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to feel over someone when literally the only reason that you weren't with them is because you had to buy a plane ticket to see them.
Yep.
It's not an emotional closure.
No. Okay, so Serena, meanwhile, breaks down in her ITM and she says, "I don't even know why I'm crying." You can tell Serena does not break down easily. Mm-hmm. You know how other people sort of cry freely in ITMs?
Yes.
Serena was sort of like...
She's not a crier.
Yeah, she's not. And she was holding it together for so long.
Yeah, it was a good reason to cry.
Yes. So we have some nostalgia now. Mm-hmm. Kendall and Joe walk down memory lane together. They realize that they're on the daybed where they had their first ever conversation.
Yeah.
And they point out the other daybed on which they had their first kiss.
Legendary daybed.
Yeah. And now we get a montage of their relationship in paradise. Normally these montages make me cringe, but their relationship was really something quite special, I thought. And so I didn't mind this.
Yeah. No, it was an okay montage.
I'm one of those people that fully shipped Joe and Kendall as a couple. I really thought they could stand
I don't think you were alone.
Yeah. So Kendall asks him how it has been going in Paradise, and he says that he's on the same path as last time, where he's only pursuing one person. He really likes her, and they're moving slow. And she kind of...
What's funny about that is if you were kind of a pining ex-girlfriend, the answer you'd want, the last answer you'd want is that. You'd want to be like, yeah, I'm banging everybody. It's great. You're like, well, there's no emotional connection.
Yeah.
But he said the worst thing for Kendall, which is like, I found somebody who's special.
Yep. She kind of makes it sound like they broke up and then stopped talking. So now they start rehashing the breakup. And he disagrees. He says that's not what happened. He says they broke up, they fought, they went back and forth, and that she's missing a chunk in the middle that she's not talking about. Mm-hmm. He says that he came back to LA 4 months after they break up to have that conversation, this conversation that I suppose they'd been dancing around for a long time. And by the way, previously he had lived in LA.
He gave it a go in LA.
Yeah. I did a little Googling because I wasn't really sure of their timeline. And thankfully, there's a lot of timelines about their relationship online. Turns out they signed a lease together in LA.
A lease?
Yep. And he was on Dancing with the Stars and stuff. So he had reason to be in LA. But they really did, or he really did give it a go. And so he came back to LA to push for her to try to move to Chicago. And she says here, I told you in the beginning of the relationship because I knew it was a deal breaker for me that she would never move to Chicago. And he says they didn't know what would happen at the beginning of their relationship. And she says she thinks he was hoping she would change her mind. And now he says you should have wanted to at least try. And he now says that her whole thing regarding the move was, I don't want to move anywhere for a man. And he said, I should have been more than just a man. And Andy, here you said, he's right.
I did say that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, he made an effort. He went to LA, gave it a shot, came back to Chicago.
Yeah.
And she should have given Chicago a shot. Why not? I mean, it's not like, what's holding her in LA permanently? Like, can she not spend 6 months in Chicago just to give it a shot? Is there something that's gluing her to LA? I didn't get that feeling.
Well, it's one of those predicaments where I guess they both have their friends and family in each of those respective cities. And it's kind of like, who makes that huge sacrifice? And it's just, what I love about this is it's such a real life conflict. It's a real reason why people end relationships. It's so relatable.
I agree.
But I kind of agree with you just because it kind of seemed like it was her way or the highway. And he, like you said, gave it a shot. He discovered he didn't like it. And she wasn't even willing to see if she didn't like it.
Yeah, I think that aspect of her decision-making turned Joe off. Like, I think actually he was really, really into her.
Yeah.
And he's just like, why do I want to be with someone who won't make the sacrifice for me or won't even consider it?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of permanently tarnished his image of her. And I don't think he's coming back from that.
Very interesting. I mean, I loved this whole conversation just because it is
very
so
real.
It's so realistic.
And I actually was a little surprised because when we initially spoke of this relationship, I thought, rightfully so, that Joe might have been the one who got burnt in this.
Yeah.
And it really was extremely mutual, where it's possible that Joe almost had
the upper hand.
I don't like saying that, but yes, the upper hand.
It seems like he had the upper hand in being like, it's over, but she also had some sort of an upper hand by being like, I'm not coming.
She denied him what he wanted in the relationship, and then he took control of, I think, the direction of where their relationship
Which
is
I
going.
think, frankly, was the right thing to do. What gets me about the I don't want to move anywhere for a man thing is that she's basically forcing him to be like, I'll move anywhere for a woman. Do you know what I mean?
It's a nonsensical double standard.
Yes.
That doesn't, there's no women are like, a woman shouldn't move for a man should only move for a woman. I don't think anyone really thinks that. That's very old fashioned.
Yeah.
I certainly don't think that, and I'm kind of old fashioned.
I think that at the end of the day, if you meet someone from a different place, one of you has to move for the other. And
it should be the person who can move slightly easier. Whatever that is. And I don't know whether it's Kendall or Joe, but I have a feeling Kendall wasn't like here in the difficulty and Joe was here. It was more like here.
Andy, here you said, it's not like he lives in the middle of nowhere. Chicago is way better than LA.
I don't know if I said that. I don't know.
I mean, I'm inclined to Agree.
Look,
We're a little biased.
Look, whether Chicago's better or worse than LA, it's not like Chicago.
Most places are better than LA.
Yeah, it's not Vladivostok, Siberia. It's Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, she could have given it a shot. Look, I get it. She has family. She has friends. I get it. I totally get it. It's not an easy decision. I think she should have given it a shot. At least a couple months. Just check it out.
Well, I think that if the relationship you cannot lose, then you would give it a shot. And the fact that she was willing to lose the relationship over that,
Yeah.
I mean, it sort of makes the entire conversation moot.
I honestly also think that a lot of her emotional regrets revolve around his ability to move on better than she probably had expected.
100%. Well, the difference is, and I often see this, is that the person who really gave it everything they had during the breakup or trying to make it work tends to be the person that moves on quicker. So even though Kendall was like resistant to all the change and was going to lose him over it, it has haunted her more because I think deep down she knows that she did not make that full effort.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway.
Moving on.
So there isn't really a ton of closure here, even though that seems to have been the point. And Kendall then goes and chats with some of the women on another daybed. And here we learn that she's there to stay. She did not come just to take Joe.
No, she came to take a look at the whole grocery store.
Yeah.
Shop in every aisle.
Yes. So now Joe talks to Serena. He says that Kendall started out like she was there for him, but then it seemed like she wanted closure and was open to dating other people. And he said, coming into this, I told myself I was over her. Now with her here, I don't want to mislead you in case I'm not, but I am. This wasn't super clear. It was sort of choppy, but he says, I also don't want this to potentially ruin your chances here if this just ends up getting too messy and you're uncomfortable. And she's like, okay.
There are all these scenes in this show, which I love, where a guy who clearly is not the most eloquent guy to begin with, is put in a position that's absolutely impossible from a dating perspective. And then it's like, okay, and go.
As we see later in this episode.
Fumble, 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 fumble.
Yeah.
Fumble, 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 fumble.
Yeah.
Fumble, fumble. Fumble.
You're left sort of decoding, like using key parts and piecing them together.
It's dead on arrival. Yeah. And they're just trying to get to the finish line intact.
He says he doesn't know what's going to happen and it's going to be weird, but Serena, is his main priority and he really likes her and he assures her that he is over Kendall. And Serena says she believes him, kind of.
Which is exactly the right answer.
She handles this really well.
Yeah.
He says, I just want to keep going on the pace that we're going. I do. Do you? And she says that she just asks that if at any point he changes his mind or gets confused to let her know. Super reasonable. These are two adults having a conversation. Great communication. I just love that she set that boundary instead of being like, yeah, we'll keep going on this path while secretly harboring these hesitations. She just lays it all out there.
Yes.
Okay, so in the evening. Sorry?
The adults.
Yep, the adults.
They were adults.
On the beach.
On the beach.
So in the evening, Noah and Joe talk now. And Noah's necklaces, I've got to say, are getting out of control.
There's four of them? They're growing.
Considering David Spade already made fun of him for it, I'm now allowed to make fun of him for it.
Maybe he's leaning into it as for a joke.
Yeah, he's owning his Miami Vice.
Like in the next episode, it's going to be 5, then 6, and eventually he's going to have like a walker to hold himself up because there's so many chains.
Okay, so Noah says here that he cannot deny his feelings for Abigail, and the gist here is that he still wants to try to pursue it. So now Noah and Abigail talk. And Abigail opens with her saying she thinks she's not a great communicator, and while she thinks things, she doesn't know how to vocalize them. He says he feels he's giving and not getting a lot in return, but that he should have verbalized that better so she would have been more aware. And he says, obviously, I could have done better too. And basically, they mutually agree to keep pursuing this.
Yeah, pursuing, I'm going to put in quotes here.
Oh, you think it's
I don't buy this fully.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a friendship that they're like, we're friends. They like each other. But I don't know if there's a heavy romance here. I think they're just kind of like, look, this is what we have. We're not going for other people on the island or the beach. Let's just do this.
Oh,
Let's
interesting.
see where it goes. But I don't buy it.
Oh, okay. So I kind of buy this a bit more than you. I really liked how this was resolved. There was no, you did this and this and this, and then one person's apologizing fully. They both owned
Yeah.
What they had done to contribute to their downfall. And they both were like, we'll try to communicate better. And a huge part of communicating better is just admitting that you both haven't communicated that well.
Absolutely. It was a very adult mending of a relationship to preface a breakup in 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, so you don't buy this.
No.
But nonetheless, they are resuming their role as a power couple on the beach.
And playing it well.
Yep. As Abigail puts it, royalty. It's a little weird when couples refer to themselves as power couples.
I think once you refer to yourself as royalty, I think you're no longer royalty.
So they make out, and Noah says in his ITM, maybe it's the environment, poor communication. We got in our heads and overcomplicated things that don't need to be overcomplicated. Mm-hmm. This makes me happy, whether or not you believe in them.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It's
life.
I just think that in that setting, I can see how you would overcomplicate things and look around and be like, oh my God, everyone else is making out so much. Why aren't we like that?
Yeah.
When that really has no bearing on how healthy a relationship is.
I agree. I give them the thumbs up for what it is.
Also not buying it. Okay, so now Jasenia and Mari talk. And Mari here reveals that she still has feelings for Kenny, misses him, and doesn't want to be with anyone else. And so now Kenny and Tia return from their date. It feels like that's ancient history that they went on that date.
Yeah.
They go to the bar, and while Tia greets Kendall, because of course they were on the same season together, they were on Ari's season, Mari immediately sweeps Kenny away for a talk. And Demi goes, oh my God, when she realizes what's happened. And Morrissey says, that was really disrespectful.
Is it?
I mean, was that disrespectful?
Was it?
Like, yeah. We're not even, I don't want to waste too much breath on all the little things Demi says that are hypocritical, but suffice to say, that was not the most disrespectful thing that has been done
And not
regarding
to mention,
Kenny.
Not to mention the word disrespectful on this beach is an extremely high bar. If you want to drop the word disrespectful, it better be like mortally disrespectful.
Yeah, this is true. Okay, so Mari and Kenny now chat, and she reveals she still has feelings for him, thinks that she needed to see what she's been seeing and to understand how much she missed him. And she says she regrets what happened. And
honest answer.
It is an honest answer.
It's one of the main reasons why people crawl back to people is because they see them with other people. But they don't say that. They just act like a psycho.
I mean, it's entirely true. And I think that I think I'm laughing so hard because we both have seen this happen in real life with couples we know.
To myself.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Seeing your ex with someone else.
It's not a good feeling.
It can be a very convincing argument for why you should get back together.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, once you get to the point where you're with someone and you see your ex with someone else and you're happy for them, marry the person you're with.
Yes.
That's the equation.
Or then finally you can be friends with that ex.
If you want. Yeah, sure.
If you want. So meanwhile, Demi says, I'm so sick of this stupid drama. And Joe says, you didn't think there was going to be any when you came down here?
Yeah, Joe is really the unexpected voice of reason on this beach.
He is. I'm kind of coming around with Joe. It's not that I didn't like Joe. I've always liked Joe. But as he gets more and more comfortable in paradise and more confident and more rageful about things happening around him, it's so satisfying to get his commentary.
He's like a different person. He just had to shake off the Bachelor in Paradise cobwebs.
Yeah.
Now he's like really in his own.
He really is the voice of reason.
Yeah.
So to Kenny, Mari says, this is me being honest. I felt so strongly that I got scared. I knew what was there and I really liked it, and I've never felt so strongly for someone so soon. I've been missing you this whole time, thinking about you this whole time. And she tells him to take his time and to think about it. And he says, they'll talk tomorrow at some point. I got to say, the way Kenny looks at Mari.
I'm going to cut you off there. I'm laying a wager here. This is going to last longer than almost anybody in Bachelor Nation thinks. I believe in Kenny and Mari.
Wow.
And Mari's my girl, so I'm a little jealous. But I believe that has staying power.
Yeah, outside
I see
of this.
something there.
Yeah.
They're good for each other.
Yeah. Even though there's kind of a big age difference.
Yeah, there is a big age difference, which may be a problem. But that aside, I believe in
But
them.
to be fair, Mari, to me, comes off a lot older than her age.
Yes.
And Kenny comes off a little younger than his age.
I really believe in them. I think they're going to be around way longer
than people think. Mm-hmm. I can see that. I can totally see them lasting beyond
You're going to
this.
be reading articles about Kenny and Mari in the months to come.
Signing a lease together.
Yeah.
Having a relationship timeline on usweekly.com that in 2 years we will be researching.
You're going to find out where they went on their Caribbean vacation and what she wore, more importantly.
Okay, and here Kenny in his ITM says, the Mari situation is different from the other ones because with her there is something special.
I agree.
He doesn't even need to say that. The way he looks at her and attentively listens to her when she speaks, it's not there with anyone else. It's not. He cares about her.
I agree.
And you can tell that he was hurt by it, by the whole saga. I mean, the whole thing, what a disaster that was.
Oh my God. Yeah, but you know what? Auspicious beginnings. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way a perfect relationship starts.
Yeah, if we ever have them on a love fest, we'll say what was an early hurdle.
DEMI.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important message about your skincare regimen. Mm-hmm. I happen to know a lot about this topic.
Just a bit, huh?
Yeah. I'm one of those people that likes to spend hours upon hours of my time investigating and researching, but that's not for everyone.
No.
Like you.
I am terrified
Yes.
of skincare. And what I need is a very stern and firm hand-holding when it comes to skincare.
Yes.
And that's what Apostrophe does.
Yes. Apostrophe is a platform where you can consult with a real dermatologist about your skincare regimen.
Yeah, and to be clear, real has to be defined when you're dealing with the internet.
It's so
This
true.
is an actual board-certified medical doctor.
Yes. And as we all know, there are 1,000,001 claims out there made by various skincare companies. But also, you know what's just as annoying as false claims is having to get a prescription or having to go to the doctor to get said
Unbelievably
prescription.
annoying. Just let me do it from home.
So I feel I can speak from experience on this particular topic because I have been using prescription tretinoin for many, many years for my skin.
Yeah.
And I have to say that my experience with Apostrophe has been quite lovely to just sort of spend 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
That's if you want to really take your time.
And then you have an interaction with a dermatologist who gives you a prescription based on your needs and your photos. So if you too are interested in upping your skincare game, we have a special deal for the Shandies. Save $15 off your first visit with a board-certified dermatologist at apostrophe.com/Shandy when you use our code Shandy. This code is only available to our listeners.
So to get started, go to apostrophe.com/Shandy and click Begin Visit. Then use code Shandy at sign up to get $15 off your dermatology visit.
That's apostrophe.com/Shandy and use that code Shandy to get your dermatology visit and save $15. And we thank Apostrophe for sponsoring the podcast.
We do.
I titled this next section Demi Bitching.
Nice.
Demi complains about how much she hates what's going on and she's losing her mind. And meanwhile, Joe is openly teasing her. She says she's losing her mind and he says, "Are you though?" I feel like only he can get away with this.
Yeah, because he's the voice of reason.
Yeah.
You know he's sincere. When you're always sincere, you can get away with anything.
And he's well respected in that sphere. Yeah. You know, like he's grocery store Joe. Like he's really a Bachelor Nation fixture.
Yeah, what is she going to become enemies with grocery store Joe?
And I do think that hierarchy comes into play everywhere on Paradise. It really does. We can't pretend that it doesn't exist.
No.
I think if someone else teased Demi the way Joe does, she would clap back.
Joe is royalty.
Yes, he is. He's also royalty that doesn't say royalty.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Serena and Abigail and Joe now talk about how much Mari is to Kenny, and I had to insert these 2 shots of Deandra yawning.
2 different angles, I thought.
2 different angles. Yeah. Deandra is officially my favorite. I'm obsessed with Deandra.
Yeah, I think you're not alone there.
Okay, so Kenny and Demi now talk, and she asks him about how it went with Tia on the date and then the talk with Mari. And Kenny says he liked Tia and might want to talk to her tomorrow. He's really being careful here. And Demi says she thought he would have said that he had more fun with her, Demi, and clearly preferred her. And she says, this is so fucking much. Like, I can't fucking stand this. This is like not cool. This is not what I do. I don't like it. I don't like this at all.
I have a sinking suspicion she wasn't happy with what happened.
In general, in this conversation, I thought Demi seemed super drunk to the point where I felt uncomfortable that she was being filmed for national television.
I kind of agree. Like, I saw her sentences being formed in her brain well before they came out of her mouth.
I know exactly what you mean. There was like a delay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't love watching people on TV when they're this drunk because I like to watch people make the decisions that they're making on TV. You know, it's just not comfortable to watch someone.
If someone should be possibly told by the bartender that you can't have any more drinks, they probably shouldn't be filmed on national TV. That's my opinion.
Especially now whispering to Kenny.
And thinking that whispering is not going to be caught by the mics. That's another drunk move.
Yes, especially from Demi, who it's not her
pro,
first rodeo.
And she's, self-proclaimed royalty.
She's not self.
No, she's royalty.
Demi is royalty.
Well, she's like the royalty where there was one like inbred prince. They're like, oh, we got to make him a prince, even though he had, you got sex with your sister and you had this kid, and he's still a prince. He's still in the bloodline, but let's keep it on the down low.
To be fair, we've never seen Demi say, "I'm Bachelor royalty."
That's true.
Yeah,
to her credit.
We'll give her that. And so she whispers to Kenny, "Do you want to go to the boom boom room right now?"
To chat.
And Kenny goes, "Tonight?" Remember, he's just been at this date all day.
I love the way he downgrades it from right now to tonight.
And she goes, "Shh." And that's when we knew she was really drunk. Because, again, Demi, of all people, she's well aware of the show she's on and the camera's on her all the time. So for her to have thought for even a millisecond that the mics didn't catch that.
She lost her bearings.
She really did.
Yeah, she wasn't quite there.
And Kenny says, "I have to go. I want to go to sleep." He corrects himself.
Not the top 6,000 things you want to hear when you ask someone to go to the boom boom room.
I gotta say, though, I'm so glad he said it like this instead of, "Oh, I have to,"
He said very clearly,
Yeah,
I'm not in the mood right now. It's not the thing I want to do. I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, and he also, I think, was laying down a boundary with her, like, we're not doing that anymore. And to correct it from "I have to go to sleep" to "I want to go to sleep," he didn't make it sound like it wasn't 100% his decision.
Right. He objected, considering the circumstances, he objected to that offer in the most gentlemanly way possible in that moment, I thought.
Yeah, I agree, while still laying down the law.
Being clear.
Yeah. And Demi's really upset here. She says in her ITM, "I wanted Kenny to fight for me, but I think he's just been waiting for Mari." And yeah, again, I said she just seemed so drunk that I felt uncomfortable that she was being filmed, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we are getting some real Demi. I don't think she's acting.
No, that wasn't acting.
And if that was acting, then I take it back. She's an amazing actress.
No, yeah, it's not that good.
Yeah.
No, that was real.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I actually
feel bad too.
felt bad for Demi.
Well, because it's like not surprising and you kind of want to point out the things that should have been done differently, I guess, but we won't get to that. We won't get to that.
Demi's got her strategies need some honing in this department. But that being said, she's a human being and she was not doing well here.
No,
and I felt bad for her.
Okay, so now we just see a quick segment of Thomas juggling. We were impressed with this.
Impressed. It's hard to juggle small things.
Yeah, you said that.
Because I juggle, as you may know.
You dabble in the juggle.
And the smaller the thing, the harder it is to juggle, but you can't get that nice grip on it.
Yeah.
So I was impressed with Thomas's juggling.
Yeah, very good.
As I always am impressed with Thomas's things.
The next day now, Natasha and Brendan talk. Things are going to get juicy soon.
Oh, man. We haven't even gotten to that yet. I need another cup of coffee.
So Natasha says she feels the guys are not locked in general. And Brendan says he thinks the guys are doing what they have to do to keep their options open and go on dates when girls arrive.
Brendan's entire time on Bachelor in Paradise has been setting up this scheme. He's just like, everything I say, you can do it. You can do this. You can set it up. You're going to be fine. You're going to come out smelling like roses. Just keep the track. And he doesn't realize. Everyone knows.
Oh, it's so rough. So Natasha says, "Do you think you're doing that?" And he says, "I would be awful at it." Well, he's right about something. So now Pieper arrives. Dun, dun, dun.
Shocking. The most shocking arrival in the history of Bachelor in Paradise.
Yep. And now, of course, all eyes are on Natasha, and she just has a complete death glare.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying. And we get a montage of the Brendan Pieper rumor mill when everyone was whispering about them and them being a full-fledged couple. And we get a flashback to Brendan repeatedly downplaying his relationship with Pieper to Natasha. And then Pieper reads her date card and, interestingly, immediately asks Brendan on that date. And he says, right off the bat, and she says yes. And he says, that was the last thing I expected.
Marlon Brando-esque acting going on here. Like, did they not have any discussion about how this was going to go down? Like, I know obviously this was all planned. Like, this is not a spoiler here.
No, but it was
like, did they say maybe you should play it a little cool? Like, was there any discussion about this?
To be honest, how Pieper handled this and then also the dinner conversation.
We're going to discuss, I know.
I wonder if she has ever actually watched a season of Paradise from beginning to end. That's a true, legitimate, honest question. I'm not being sarcastic.
Or any dating show. Like, I don't think she watched her own show. Like, I honestly don't think she knows how these things work.
I also think it's very possible a producer got in her head and encouraged her, oh, you're here for Brendan, you only want Brendan, then you don't need to talk to anyone else.
I agree that I felt that no one could be that dumb.
Yeah.
I think that a producer was like, told her that, and she's like, really? I can do that? He's like, yeah, go ahead.
I understand she went there for him, but to not even pretend to consider other people.
It's the whole reason. It's the whole raison d'etre. It's like, we're here to make believe we're not here for each other.
Yes.
Let's make the smallest little effort to make it look slightly like we're not lying sacks of shit.
So, yeah, she didn't talk to anyone, and I couldn't help but think that a producer at some point was like, you go for your man. You don't need to talk to anyone else. You know you want him, go for it, that kind of thing. But who falls for that? Oh my God.
And honestly, the only excuse I can give them, and I don't think they're working at this level, is that they were playing for the ultimate villain at it. Like, they were literally like, we're going to be the biggest villains in the history of Bachelor in Paradise. I don't think that's what they were going for. I think, to their discredit, they were going for the opposite. They wanted this to look good.
Yes. No, they 100%.
Yeah. I got things to say about them. Not good. I don't think I can air them
If
here.
Brendan wanted to go with the villain edit, he would have been leaning into this far sooner.
Of course. Or he would have gone harder for Natasha. He would have been all in on Natasha.
Yeah.
If he wanted a real
he was trying to be a gentleman throughout this.
He was doing his best to dance through raindrops. And he was literally scuba diving.
Okay, so obviously Brendan goes on the date and there's a commercial break. And when it comes back, we see that it's raining. And Chris says, the weather is not looking very optimistic.
No, and I don't believe that weather can experience
optimism,
the feeling of optimism. But I get what he was saying.
We knew what he meant. Brendan now talks to Natasha. Mm-hmm. This was a pretty delicious conversation. She is completely stony-faced the entire time. And she basically says, why did you come here if that connection was strong enough? Basically saying, why didn't you date at home? I wrote, I will lose too many brain cells if I actually rewatch this and transcribe everything he says. But suffice to say, he keeps talking and never really says anything. No. I mean, this guy, he is not good at talking himself out of sticky situations.
You're putting a guy who naturally is not good at talking himself out of any situations, including just like going to a store and buying something. And now you're putting him in literally one of the hardest sticky situations to get out of in the world. It's like a roach motel. He's literally in a roach motel, stuck to the glue. A guy can't buy a pack of gum without screwing something up.
He said, I'm not going to keep myself from an opportunity to see where it goes. And Andy, you said he's digging an ant hole.
The analogy I was thinking of is they've done experiments where they give ants like hallucinogens.
Yeah.
Or they like something, maybe alcohol. I don't know. They've done this experiment with termites or ants. And whereas the line should go like something should be dug like this, like a hole here and an exit here.
Yeah.
When they're on hallucinogens, it goes crazy. It's like all over the place.
So Brendan trying to talk his way out of this is like he's
some sort of an insect who's been given hallucinogens in an experiment and is going just going in directions that are not correct by nature.
I wrote, he picked the wrong placeholder.
Yeah.
Because she does not make this easy for him, and I'm so glad she doesn't.
Yeah.
I think he wanted her to just leave, honestly, and she, I think to spite him, is staying, and it's so satisfying how that continues on. So Pieper and Brendan have their date, and she says she's happy to see him, and meanwhile he seems very, very stressed. Mm-hmm. I think he would give anything for 5 minutes without a mic. Mm-hmm. He reveals he's been dating Natasha, and he says, where you come into this, your name has been brought up. The girls probably think I was just waiting for you. And they came right to me and were like, are you and Pieper dating? Are you a thing? Why are you here if you're with Pieper? The way I handled it was like cool, calm, relaxed. I said, Pieper and I met not too long ago, but we're not dating. We're not in a relationship, nothing exclusive. And communication we had going into this, we never promised each other that we're going to leave paradise as a couple, or if you can't come, wait for me when you come back, all that stuff. It feels like he's talking to her in code.
Yeah, and she's not getting any code.
No, he's like, we don't have any promises to each other.
Yeah.
And wow, she does not get the memo.
She does not get anything.
No.
It was
painful.
Look, Brendan's not great in these situations.
No.
But he did give it a shot here.
He did.
And I give him credit for that. It's the only credit he's going to get again from me from the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But he was like, stop being an idiot. Are you enjoying your chicken?
I mean, yeah, he's pretty much telling her what their relationship is currently.
Yeah.
And she's not reading between the lines of what he means.
She's literally is not acting like there's 10 cameras on her. It's incredible to me how checked out she is about the situation when they're going into the belly of the beast. They're like, this is the most delicate mastermind plan they have. Yeah. And she's going in as if like, it's like they're just building a sandcastle.
Well, and that's why I legitimately wonder, again, this is not a rhetorical question, whether or not she has seen this show and understands that it's not just Bachelor people who already know each other and dating on TV instead of dating in real life. Because I don't think she understood that it was a bad look for them to have already been dating. That it was so she was so checked out that I'm like, do you not?
I think you're right. I think that she thought it was okay for two people who are dating in real life to enjoy a 2-week vacation in this beautiful setting on television.
Yes.
Like everyone's cool with that. Like, oh, isn't that nice? They were dating before. Now we can watch them dating in paradise.
And to be fair, I'm giving her a lot of credit to have that approach. Basically, the most credit I can give her is to assume she doesn't know how this show works and doesn't know what's a bad look.
That's a heavy credit you're giving her. If that's the best credit you can give a human being,
well, it's either that or she wasn't getting it. No. And which also unto itself is concerning regarding their actual relationship.
Yeah.
Like in terms of their connection.
You should be able to look at each other and be like,
Yes. If you did that with me in this situation, I'd be like, yes, of course. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right? Like when you meet, when we run into somebody and I don't know their name and they know our names and I'm looking at you like, hey, what do you think about this great guy? And you know what I'm saying to you with my eyes, and you know to say, what's your name?
Yeah, that in some ways was the most alarming thing to me about this was how I guess they had this relationship. They're so well connected, but she just didn't get the memo that he was clearly signaling to her.
Or she thought this was all going to somehow magically end up on the cutting floor. Like they were just like, oh, we're not using any of this stuff because they're revealing stuff that would make them look bad. Like, what was she?
I wonder. I genuinely wonder.
I was amazed by her. I'm going to try to think of a nice word. Out to lunchedness.
Yes, very good. So she does not get the memo. She says, I feel like you're downplaying what we had leading up to coming here. Andy, you were like, shh. She says, I'm trying to understand where there's the disconnect because I'm here for you. I want to make that abundantly clear. I could have been just making this up in my head where I'm going to come in and everything was going to go right back to where we left things. Like she is just throwing him under the bus.
Unbelievable. You're putting a guy, he's got no tools.
Yeah.
It's completely, his toolbox empty. There's nothing, there's a toothbrush in there. That's it. There's nothing in there. And you're making this guy build the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do. She's completely screwed him. She's screwed themselves. And I'll tell you something else.
What?
If she had behaved correctly in this dinner,
Yeah.
I think they might have been able to pull this off.
I agree.
And
Because-
she completely sunk them.
Yeah. If she had come in, spoken to a bunch of guys, not every guy, but just spoken to a few guys that she pretended to have been interested in, and then decided she liked Brendan best, acted like, oh, good to see you again, but like had a sort of formality like they hadn't been dating for 2 months. And then at dinner been like, oh, so excited to like, I liked you when I met you those few times. Like really played up that they did know each other, but that it was really casual and they didn't know each other that well. I honestly think they might have been able to get away with this.
Oh, I totally think they would have. We're not talking about like Meisner level acting. We're talking about like Lifetime Channel level acting. Like just the basic modicum of just getting by.
Yep.
Just do the things that we would think you would do if you weren't dating. Do it in a way that's not even that believable, and we'll probably fall for it.
Yep. And of course, we always know the puppet strings are behind this. If there's one thing producers love about Paradise, it is destroying the well-laid plans that established couples have going into Paradise.
I think when they found out about the Pieper situation, there was so much drool coming out. The whole shirt was just drenched with drool.
Yep.
They couldn't. They were like, oh my God, we're going to do so much with this.
Yep.
And these two fell for every single thing.
Yeah, and surely he thought she was going to be there from day one or come in on day two. You know, when he still had the rose. He's been waiting for her for a long time. Do we really think it's some accident that she didn't come until this far in?
No, yeah.
Yeah, like
he's like, I got Pieper coming soon.
It's so funny to me when people try to outsmart the puppeteers of this show. You can't.
No, you can't do it. The lies can only last so long in Paradise.
I think you're right. I mean, look, I think some people's lies by comparison just seem so mild that they kind of get away with it and get an okay edit. But I mean, Brendan and Pieper are really taking the cake here. And I just love that Natasha's not making it easy on him or either of them, really. Okay, so speaking of Natasha, back at the resort, everyone feels bad for her. Understandably. Mm-hmm. I felt awful for her.
This is what I'm going to say about Natasha, and everything else from here on in is going to be extremely nice. Mm-hmm. Buyer beware. I really think Natasha should have taken some better cues. Brendan was really half-assing it. As we discussed, that kiss after the massage.
Yeah, it was like a tip.
Like that was the absolute least thing he could have done possibly.
Yeah.
So she should have known a little better, but that's the last bad thing I'm saying about Natasha at all.
I guess.
And it's not even a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
It's understandable.
It is, and I feel...
But she should have read it a little better.
I know, and I feel bad because I think that, he was telling her with words, like how connected he felt to her, how much fun he has with her, and then not showing it with his physical affection. But
no show.
He was reinforcing this idea that he was romantically interested in her while not acting on it physically. But she probably, I can see how some women would be like, oh, he just wants to take it really slow.
No.
He's sincere and serious.
I'm not faulting her.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that she seems like a very intelligent woman.
She is extremely intelligent.
And I would have liked her to just take a slightly bigger hint that he was faking this, but not even faking it, but not that interested.
Yeah,
that's all. I don't know. Whatever. It's not her fault.
A lot of things about the Natasha side of things with Brendan just make me think of real life dating and the hoops some women jump through to make a guy see how great they are, or to make them comfortable, or to understand what pace they want to go at. It's this constant coddling.
Yeah, and
I rarely think you should have to do that. Almost never, honestly.
Yeah, no, you should never have to do that.
But I think it's a real life situation that a lot of women feel in dating today. And my heart just hurt for her in this. And what a blow. It's so unnecessarily damaging to her self-esteem for him to have done this.
I agree. And the other thing is, it happens to men and women, but sometimes you're blinded by good looks. Like Brendan is extremely
Well, we keep hearing about how sexy he is.
Yeah, and
isn't it amazing how someone's behavior can just make them so unsexy?
So quickly, too. We'll discuss that.
I think for both of them. For both him and Pieper. Because I think
Pieper walked into the bar, I was like, damn.
Yeah, and I had said, I was like, Pieper is stunning.
Oh, yeah.
And by the end of this episode, I was like,
Yeah, a zero. Like,
it's amazing.
Nothing.
Yeah. So back on the date, Pieper says, I need more of the real you to Brendan. And finally,
Again,
Brendan.
not reading anything between the
cues.
lines, only reading right on the line.
Yeah. So Brendan now basically has to roll up his sleeves and get explicit. He says,
It's amazing.
he says, there are certain things that had to be done and certain ways I had to navigate to bring us to this particular moment. Like, I can't have a girlfriend entering this whole journey. So if I tell everyone, hey, Pieper might be coming, nobody talk to me. And he sort of drifts off and she's like, oh yeah, of course. He says, I was navigating this in a way to allow myself to potentially, hopefully, be here while you're here. He basically has to spell it out for her. And she's appeased by this. She says, thanks for playing the game.
You know what's amazing about this? Well, first of all, it's embarrassing. But it reminds me of when I was a kid. And my mother used to go on the bus. And if you're under 7 years old, you don't pay for the bus. And so, I was a kid. My mom would just get on the bus, go in, she pays for herself and we go on the bus.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with it.
Yeah. And then I remember I turned 7. It was my birthday and I was so excited. It was the first birthday where I think I actually was cognizant of the fact that it was a birthday. Like before that, I was like, it's my birthday? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So I was 7. I was like, I'm 7. I can finally go on the bus and pay. And so we go on the bus and she like shoos me into the bus because she's like, what are they going to check his ID card? He's like, look, 6. Who cares? For the next couple of years, he'll be 6. Who cares? Save me a few $100. So I get on the bus and she shoos me in and she's paying. And I'm like, Mom, I'm 7. I can pay now. And I could only imagine her mortification in front of that crowded bus.
This totally happened in my family too, by the way.
Oh, really?
I remember going to an amusement park or, some sort of amusement park when you're a kid and when you're under a certain age, you're free or half price or something. Yeah. And you're so excited to be a certain age. Like you want to be all grown up. I don't know if it was me or my sister, but one of us, they're like, oh yeah, she's under whatever age. And either me or my sister was like, no, Mommy, I'm this old.
Does this happen to every family?
You guys let us know. Has this happened in your family?
Wow, we're really similar.
I mean, we've never discussed this. It means it's happened in other families. Who wouldn't do that?
Totally
Why
right.
do you want to spend money if you don't have to?
Of course. It's the most victimless crime in the world. Who you really hurt?
Yeah, and I mean, you're literally talking about a day at that point. If you're at 7 at the point.
Literally, I had just turned 7. I was so psyched to throw my mom literally under the bus.
Okay, so Pieper is appeased by this. She says, thanks for playing the game. Andy, here you said, good Lord, she sunk him. And they openly joke here about how he could have told her all this. They joke about emailing, him stealing a phone. She says, oh, you could have written a letter. And I was thinking, how could this not have been covered before they left? Did they really think that things were just going to fall into place for them?
They're both playing with half a deck. That's my only explanation.
Brendan says, I hope you can trust what we've built, no matter how you feel in certain moments. The optics of it might look weird and awkward, and my tone of voice and the way I word things. Trust me, we have to have each other's back. It has to be you and me first and foremost.
It's unbelievable. They're literally thinking they're playing chess, but they're actually playing Hungry Hungry Hippos.
I love Hungry Hungry Hippo.
Yeah, it's a great game, but that's not the point.
It's tied with Operation.
Oh, Operation's amazing. I wish, we should get Operation. Why don't we have Operation in this house?
We should have.
That's a great
you would be
game.
you're very dexterous with your fingers.
I think you'd beat me now. My days of Operation probably.
I don't know. You're
me.
way better with your fingers.
Okay, well, we'll get to that later.
So, was that dirty?
No.
Oh, okay. So he says, that's the only way we're going to get through this, being in the position we want to be in, utilizing this time and taking advantage of what Paradise would promote together. So obviously this is very incriminating. I do want to point out, just because I'm a stickler for this stuff, Paradise would promote together is frankenbitten in some way. You don't see it coming out of his mouth, and actually his face is moving from the side and it doesn't line up with what he's saying.
Taking advantage of, what Paradise would promote together.
We get Pieper's reaction, which is fantastic. So they wanted to get fantastic in reaction to that. Clearly, the editors are making them look worse, but I don't really think it changes
doesn't take
that
much work.
No.
Put it this way. If Thomas gets vilified the way he did for suggesting that he sort of thought about becoming the Bachelor, and they don't get sent to like,
Bachelor
the gulag for this, it will be a travesty.
Pieper says, I'm sorry your first few weeks were less than ideal, but hopefully I can alleviate some of that pressure. Everyone can hate us, but they can hate us together.
Well,
how
she's
romantic.
right about that.
And here we get a voiceover of Pieper's. I have to point out it's Frankenbitten. Once again, the powers that be are trying to make them look even worse, even though I don't think it's even necessary. She says, like, I'm here for Brendan. He is my boyfriend. We're dating. And I'm here to like continue our relationship.
Like, I'm here for Brendan. He is my boyfriend. We're dating, and I'm here to like continue our relationship.
So they clearly inserted my boyfriend in there and we're dating in there to sort of drive the point home. But I actually don't think it was necessary.
No,
they did themselves.
They're just cleaning it up to make
Yeah.
it more palatable.
Yeah.
The content is there.
As they make out back at the entrance while heading out, Andy, you said, 2 airheads in paradise.
I proudly stand by that.
I don't want to talk about this too much more because there's still more to cover here with Natasha, but let's be clear. Everyone is doing this to some extent.
Yeah, but you don't make it that obvious.
Yes. I'm frustrated because I feel like I'm watching idiocy. Like, I want to watch people make clever decisions, not stupid decisions. It's just painful.
It's not game playing.
No.
It's like watching a 2-year-old flip over the Monopoly board. You're
Yes.
not watching a game.
No.
You're watching a spilt game board.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say that they are terrible people for trying to game paradise, because I think 80% of the people there are trying to game paradise in some way.
Yeah, and
hence why they have lists. They have actual lists of people they want to quote unquote meet, as if they don't already know them.
They're all trying to game it a little bit. Almost let's just say everybody to round it up. But once in a while, accidentally, they fall in love.
Yeah.
That's how the show works.
Yeah.
But to go on the show thinking that you're the first couple, they're like, we're going to do this, we're going to be the first ones to do this.
Yeah.
And to have no plan at all. To just be like, no one's ever thought of this before.
Yeah.
No one has ever had somebody back at home and gone on a reality dating show with the intention of getting clout or Instagram followers or money or whatever.
Yeah.
They've all had a plan.
Yeah. I'm reminded of, I think, season 2, it was Samantha, Stefan, and I forget the guy, honestly. But it was a similar situation where they had clearly plotted to meet each other. But I don't remember there being as much hurting of someone else in the process.
That's the other important part.
Yes.
Is if you're going to do this, be very careful about fucking with people's emotions.
Yes.
Very careful.
Yes. You could tell Natasha was not acting in this. She was really hurt. And thank God she's a smart woman who knows her worth. And I hopefully don't think that she took this too personally or let it blow her ego too hard. But you would have to be invincible to not be affected at all by this, especially in the shit he says later about her. Like, what kind of prospects did she really have? Like, seriously, get off this show.
What kind of prospects did she seriously have? And I get why he said that.
Well, he's defending himself.
In the most basic mathematical way. He's trying to defend himself with something that might be half true, but it's irrelevant.
You don't say that.
You don't say that.
Yeah. And you don't know because you robbed that opportunity from her where she could have had those other prospects.
It is on so many levels wrong.
Yeah.
It's almost like a felony what he did. To say that is he's committing a felony on Natasha.
Yes. Okay, we have to move along because there's still a lot to cover. But suffice to say, it's now the next day and Brendan and Pieper are a full-blown couple.
Shocking. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, and everyone discusses how handsy and affectionate he suddenly is versus how he's been with Natasha. And Natasha appears. She goes to get a drink at the bar and walks right over to them. It's amazing. And she asks to talk with Pieper. And she asks her, when did you guys meet? And Pieper says, a little over 2 months ago. And she goes, he said a month. She says, what's the number of times you guys hung out? Pieper goes, 10 or so. She has to force her. She's like, give me ballpark. She's like 10 or so.
This is like,
which I'm sure was rounding down, by the way. That's the best part.
Totally. Yeah, she was trying. She's like, go really low, go really low. Do half. Yeah, 10. Oh, not good.
And
this reminded me that what she was doing, Natasha, with Brendan and Pieper.
Yeah.
Reminded me of if Beavis and Butthead had committed a crime and they went into the police department, and you know how they put each guy in a different room.
Yeah.
And they asked that they try to get them to
Yes.
incriminate each other.
Yeah.
It's literally that situation with Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Imagine that happening.
And so Natasha says, he said 2 times. And she's fully playing Sherlock, and it's just so satisfying.
Yeah.
I love that she didn't just roll over or make it easy on them.
And also, she didn't ever raise her voice or
No.
get hysterical. She just calmly destroyed her
Yeah.
and him. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
And here, and this is interesting, I had to point this out because as Pieper leaves to talk with Natasha, someone says, I think you'll be okay, Brendan. And Brendan's like, huh? And then we see it's Serena who says this. So clearly Serena and Brendan are friendly.
Yeah, something
and
going
then
on there.
while they're off talking, we see Brendan talking to someone out of frame, but he's in the same position, in the same spot. I don't know why they didn't show the other person. It was either a producer, so they would never show that
Sure,
person,
yeah.
or I'm thinking it could be Serena and they're protecting her. I think it's more likely it's a producer, but here he says she had zero prospects. Like, it's not like I was keeping her from anyone. Like, I don't know if she would have a single actual prospect otherwise, you know? And during this, he's scratching his mic again.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me that he's scratching his mic like he's, you know what he's like? It reminds me of a dog that shits and then does its little dance to cover it up but does nothing.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like, I don't know what he's thinking. They have like CIA level mics on
Yes,
this show.
yeah.
And he thinks that just like, they're like, oh my God, he's scratching his mic. What are we going to do? We
Yeah.
can't hear anything. Like,
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah.
Rip it off. If
Yeah.
you really want to say something, just rip it off.
I'm just so curious to know who he was talking to here because usually a producer would not be out in the open in that seating area like that, but they didn't show the person. So either they're protecting the contestant to whom he was talking or it was a producer, one or the other. So back with Natasha and Pieper, Pieper says, it's not like coming into paradise all like this was our plan. And Natasha says, that's what it sounds like. And Pieper says, we're not trying to be a TV couple necessarily. And Natasha goes, but you're mentioning couple. So you did think you guys were a couple.
This is amazing. It reminds me of Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men.
Yeah?
It's like I expect at some point Pieper to say like, you can't handle the truth.
Natasha asks what it would look like for them going forward. And Pieper says that if someone else came in and asked her on a date, she wouldn't go because she doesn't know them. And Natasha replies, that's what this is, Pieper. I honestly don't think Pieper knows how paradise works.
She doesn't. I'm not sure she knows how that many things work.
Natasha says, I feel like a casualty in his convoluted plan. I truthfully don't think you guys should be here. God, I feel so bad for her. I really do.
She just handles this really well.
She does. Okay, so moving on, Natasha now talks to Brendan. And I mean, it's more of this Sherlock stuff. She says, my entire paradise experience has been talking to you, having these conversations with you in hopes that you feel comfortable enough to let your guard down. And Brendan immediately goes into bullshit artist mode. And it's just so painful because...
He's not good at it.
No, Andy, you said here, does he realize this is a show people watch? He says, I specifically said to you, I don't have those types of feelings for you on a romantic level, but you're such an amazing person. I want to give you this rose and give you an opportunity to be here another couple of days and meet people. And she interrupts him and says, you didn't say that though. And he says, no, I didn't say that. But I said, Natasha, I'm giving you this rose because at the very least you deserve to find love. And if it's not with me, it can be with somebody else. And you decided to have, in my opinion, somewhat a selective hearing. And she laughs. I mean, this is fucked up. She says, I have selective hearing of what you were saying because you were not direct. And for the record, I went back to episode 2 to look at the rose ceremony where he did give her the rose. All he said was, Natasha, will you accept this rose? So if there was some conversation where he said this, I have a hard time believing it was not shown, but he is such a liar. Mm-hmm. And what I hate is that he puts it on her. You have selective hearing.
Yeah, it's again... getting into the gaslighting territory.
Yes, and I mean, people are going to get up in arms about the definition of gaslighting, but as we said in the finale of Katie's season, I think there are very varying degrees, and he was making her feel like the crazy one.
He's trying to win an argument by making her believe that what she remembers, which actually happened, is not what happened,
Yes.
but it's what he wants to
Yes.
have happened, and that's the story that he wants her to believe. And if she doesn't believe that, she's, as you said, she's crazy.
Yes. He said, I specifically said. And then she said, you didn't say that though. And he goes, no, I didn't say that, but I said this. Mm-hmm. Should we believe him? Literally 2 lines away from each other, he's been caught in a lie, and he admits it.
Yeah.
We can't trust anything that comes out of his mouth.
No.
She asks him if he would go on a date with someone else, and he yabbers on about wanting to explore his strong feelings for Pieper, and she catches him on this, and she reiterates that it was those very strong feelings, which he just confessed to, and that she wasn't aware of, that are the hurtful part. Mm-hmm. She's so good at this.
She is cross-examining this
so satisfying.
This murderer.
Yeah. I wrote, she is just so much smarter than him.
Yeah.
And she says that had she known, she would have explored other options. And he says, what would you have explored?
Ooh.
He's a dick.
That's not nice.
I'm going on the record and saying that.
What, like, as if she has no options. Like, she's like a pile of garbage.
Just apologize. He should just apologize.
No,
Don't
because
make her
then he blows his own cover. Was it such a good secret now?
She says he lied to her about having hung out with Pieper twice.
You can't handle the truth.
And he says, I don't recall saying twice. If I said twice, that was. And she says, a lie? Anyway, he still claims he did and said nothing wrong and did nothing to prevent her from meeting other guys. And I think he needs to take a page from Thomas's book of falling on his own sword. I think Thomas apologized too much.
Yeah.
And I think Brendan could have apologized at least once. Where was the apology? Nowhere. So this wraps with her saying, you go enjoy paradise. And he says, what are you going to do? And she says, I don't know, but you don't have to act like you care anymore.
Ooh, so sweet.
Mic drop.
Oh, yes, queen.
Yeah, you actually said yes, queen.
I've never said that before, and I may never say it again,
Yep.
but that was a yes, queen moment.
She was a full-blown queen here. So now Ivan talks to Natasha. He's clearly uncomfortable with the situation because it's clear he's close with Brendan. And now we see Pieper and Brendan talking about followers. Note the hidden camera angles. They have, I think that they forgot for a minute. When you don't see a camera in sight, it's easy to forget.
I think they forgot for the whole time.
And Brendan says the best part is the amount of times your name is going to be brought up before you're even on the show.
Yes.
And Pieper says that's what Serena was saying. She was like, you're literally going to get more screen time before you even set foot on the sand.
I broke up with Serena at just the right time.
I wrote which Serena. Is it Serena C or Serena
I'll try to give her the
P?
benefit of the doubt, but I have a bad feeling it might be our Serena.
I have a bad feeling too, because based on the fact that Serena just earlier was like, Brendan, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
Pieper and Brendan admit in this conversation that they didn't put a label on the relationship because they were coming onto Paradise.
Because if we labeled it, then you'd all know.
Yeah, and Pieper said, neither one of us are stupid. And Brendan says, I was getting so annoyed by her, referring to Natasha. And I wrote, the true colors. Brendan has been so squeaky clean. He got the cleanest of edits on Tasha's season. Mm-hmm. You know, he made it very far.
Why would he throw that all in the garbage?
It's painful. And then Pieper says, I know. And he says, I'm surprised she's still here. And Natasha, meanwhile, to Ivan says, I know he's your boy, but you have to admit that's fucked up, Ivan. And Ivan is speechless.
Oh, he's squirming.
Yeah, I feel a little bad for Natasha because I don't feel like enough people were getting up in arms over this because I feel like they've gotten more up in arms.
Oh, well, we'll talk about
lesser
that.
crimes.
Yeah, I was upset too.
Yeah.
Like people are so quick to stand by their man or stand by their woman and defend them against, improprieties. But suddenly it's like the ultimate foul, the criminal act.
But you can
on
tell
Bachelor in
Brendan is
Paradise.
well liked.
He's well liked. That's so powerful.
So
you can get away with
powerful.
so much
Yes.
more.
Yep.
Thomas came in immediately. They're like, who's this 6'6" hunk who we all should hate?
Yeah.
And he was just persona non grata out of the gate. But this guy, Brendan, is an angel. He can do no wrong.
Yeah. And I think it's possible to be like, that's kind of a shitty thing to do, but he's still my friend. You know, being someone's friend doesn't mean you just don't hold them accountable at all. I felt bad for Natasha because
She was all alone.
we saw her talking to a lot of people and people kind of nodding and being like, yeah, that sucks.
Even the girls, it was like they took her side and they were saying the right things, but there wasn't that passion behind it.
Yes.
As there has been with other people.
Yeah, it shows that, Brendan can't be that bad at this, I guess, because he really has surrounded himself with quite the army of platonic friends.
He must be extremely likable.
Yep. So Pieper and Brendan continue to talk themselves into a hole about followers and stuff.
That's that hallucinogenic anthole. They're like somewhere you don't even know. They're so down there that you can't even find your way back.
You know, look, we know that everyone comes on this show for that reason. To me, this is different from the Thomas thing because there was like Natasha said, a casualty. Thomas didn't hurt anyone in thinking about being the Bachelor at one point, which everyone thinks. We get it. Everyone comes on Paradise in the back of their mind. They're like, maybe I'll be the next Jade and Tanner. Maybe I'll fall in love. Maybe I'll get 1 million followers on Instagram. Yes, we understand everyone does that. But I think you can try to do that and either be A, smarter about it, and B, not damage someone's self-esteem so much in the process.
I think number one rule of Bachelor in Paradise, be a good human.
Be a good human. I just feel like this is really harmful to Natasha.
This is the thing. You can go on Bachelor in Paradise and be a bit of a scumbag, but be an honest, decent scumbag.
Yeah.
That's all I ask for.
Or even if you're not going to be that honest, because I think there's an inherent aspect of Paradise where you just are lying all the time.
Yeah, it's a game.
But do it and mitigate damage. Mitigate hurting people's feelings and giving them trust issues that extend far beyond filming.
Yeah. Don't use people as pawns.
Yes.
And that's what he did with Natasha.
So finally, Brendan, while scratching his microphone, says, I've incriminated myself enough where I'm screwed.
No, he's right about that.
So, Word Watch.
Can I just give the biggest shout out to Ben Weissman,
Yeah.
who coded, completely unsolicited,
Yep.
one of our fans, Ben Weissman, wrote code so that I could find the guesses easily.
Yeah, that
it was
super
amazing. Thank
sweet.
you. I mean, honestly, seriously, there's no jokes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You made Andy's life a lot easier, so thank you.
That was amazing.
So we have a winner. Several of you guessed correctly because as we know, there are 0 heartbrokens.
0 heartbrokens. We had 91 people guess 0 heartbrokens. Yes.
And we randomly chose a winner. So congratulations to Andrea P. Arguelles. Please email us at dearshandy@gmail.com by Friday at midnight, and we will get your Hello Toshiba Day in the mail to you. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Fun to have a prize.
Yeah.
You guys got a lot more excited with the prize in the mix.
People are really excited about having clean tushies. Yeah. I mean, way more enthusiasm than I expected.
And as you know, we can't do a word watch for this episode. We will do one for tomorrow's episode because this turnaround is too tight. So stay tuned tomorrow for the next word watch. And now finally, Andy, the segment that we always close with, the who would we go for?
Oh, man. This is a tough one.
Is it?
I got to be honest. I feel for Kenny now because I know what I'm in the same kind of position.
Okay.
So I have strong feelings for Mari.
Okay.
But you know Kendall's my girl.
Yeah.
From way back.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing. And now Natasha was
Natasha was amazing in this episode.
Mic drop left and right.
Yeah.
But I'm making a difficult decision here.
Okay.
I have to stick to my guns from previous shows. I'm going with Kendall.
Okay. I respect that. I've always been a huge Kendall fan. Yeah. She's also super talented. She does these really fun drawings on Instagram where she just like takes a coffee splatter and turns it into an amazing drawing. Oh, she's just such a quirky, cool addition to Bachelor Nation.
I feel more confident.
She's amazing. I'm a big Kendall fan. As a quirky person, I see quirkiness in Kendall and I'm like, I just love her.
She's got such quirk, and it's just like she really. I'm a big fan. We can go on.
Yeah.
But that being said, I have a hole in my heart now for Mari.
Yeah.
And I.
Well, it shouldn't be too big a hole because it looks like she and Kenny.
I was starting to develop feelings for her.
Okay.
So
Were you starting to be able to picture yourself falling in love with her?
I was starting. Yes.
So the person I would go for based on this episode was Joe.
I totally support that. The elder statesman. Of Bachelor in Paradise.
Plus, I love that he teases Demi.
Oh, he did a great job.
Royalty.
He got a rare A+ on this episode in Bachelor in Paradise.
The buffoonness to Joe is rapidly fading.
Where did the buffoonery go? Did he just have to shake out the what happened?
He had to shake off the nerves, and now he's just smart and sexy.
Yeah, he was like George Clooney in this episode. I don't know.
Well, he's coming full circle. Remember, he's like, I just can't be a Clooney.
Oh,
he's
that's
officially
right.
a Clooney.
You're now a Clooney, Joe. Congratulations.
Yeah. And I did bump Ivan because I thought Ivan should have admitted that his friend did a shitty thing.
I would be repulsed if you stayed with Ivan.
I have friends who do shitty things, and I think part of being a friend is being able to hold them accountable for the shitty things they've done.
Absolutely. He wouldn't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
He was just like...
No, he just sort of laughed
Yeah, he's
awkwardly.
like, Brendan.
Yeah, that wasn't my favorite.
No, he should have been like, Natasha, he did the wrong thing. Anyway, whatever. But I approve. And I think it's kind of nice that we're both with the couple with that original couple.
That's a perfect place to wrap this recap episode of Dear Shandy.
And now we are officially, I believe, past the halfway point.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
It looks like there's going to be 10 episodes total. This is number 6. We're 60%.
So sweet.
There. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we're going to ask of you. We will ask you to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, tell your friends, leave us iTunes ratings and reviews, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast that you consume. And on that note, I think that's a wrap. We'll see you guys tomorrow to recap episode 7 of Bachelor in Paradise. And yeah, until then, bye. Dear Shandy.